Hi, good evening all, and thank you so much for joining us for the penultimate session in our Music Monday series. I can't believe we're at week 4 already. My name is Grace Meadows and I'm a music therapist, and I have been working in the music and dementia space for too long to mention now, but it's a real pleasure to be here tonight with you. We have just seen the most amazing weekend of music, and we've seen people make music together in groups, we've seen people experience music together in groups, we've seen people just enjoy the real sheer love of music. And that's so much because we're social creatures, and it's such an important form of expression for us as people. It's a really powerful way of communicating our feelings, our emotions, our experiences of life. And I think something like a festival of that scale, whether it's that or whether it's a small coming together, is so important because it's about what it means to value people and for people to value each other. And I couldn't be more delighted to be joined this evening by Lucy Buck and Paul Dixon, who both have first-hand experiences of music, using music as a form of communication with people living with dementia, and they both do incredible work. So I feel really privileged that we've got them with us tonight. So hello to you both, and thank you for joining us. So would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your work and what you do? Lucy, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, my name's Lucy. I am a carer, and I co-founded the Good Company People. It was my lived experience that made me set up the Good Company. I saw firsthand that my mum didn't want to go into she wanted to be somewhere in a kind of normal space. She didn't want to be somewhere that was kind of institutionalized. So the idea was, we came up with the idea of doing clubs in things. It's gone from strength to strength. So we have now over 100 carers who come to our clubs, and music is a massive thread throughout all the clubs, and it's quite transformative.
That's amazing. And I have to say, I've watched Lucy's work grow and grow, and it's been a real privilege to see how exciting it is and just to see what you achieve every day with it. And I think we'll touch on it later, but the amazing relationship that you have with your mum, particularly when music's involved, is really inspiring. So I hope we get to explore that a little bit later, if that's okay. And Paul.
Yeah, I've been doing a few music projects over the last year or so, and was connected with Lucy, who asked me to come along to the first ever Wednesday Supper Club last year, which we'll probably talk about shortly. So I'm probably now the sort of musician, if you like, for the Good Company People, and as well as doing the Wednesday Supper Club, also volunteering every other week as well on the Tuesday Lunch Club, and again using the music there as well.
It's really great that you're both here, and I think what's exciting about this evening's conversation is there are so many ways in which we can be together in music, and I don't know what people might be thinking about tonight in terms of what we might touch on, but I think what's so special about having you both with us is the real way in which you'll show us how music can be so part of group experiences. And this isn't about necessarily a thing like having to go to something. Music is totally interwoven to what you're talking about in terms of enabling people to have a really good quality of life experience, and that music's just intrinsic to that. So before I turn to you both and quiz you both. I just thought we'd pause slightly on why music is so brilliant in a group experience. And we've talked about this in previous sessions, but one of the things that we've also spoken about is how tricky and challenging communication can be. And there's lots of things that go on around a diagnosis, coming to terms with living with dementia, whether you're the person with the condition or somebody who's caring for them. But sometimes just acknowledging that it exists is really, really hard. But being in a group can help dilute some of that experience, but also can help you feel that it's okay, this is me, because you're seeing other people reflected in your experience. And for me, I think one of the most powerful things about a group experience is that it's an opportunity to leave diagnosis at the door. It's an opportunity to come, be a person, contribute. I see too often people who don't get an opportunity to contribute, to be part of their group, their circle, their community. And I think there's something about being able to be in a safe space where music's involved, where you absolutely get to contribute and not have things done to you. So I think the power of a group musical experience, whatever form that might take, can be incredibly enabling and empowering and supportive, not only for the person living with dementia, but also those caring for them. So I would really love to turn to you both, because that's enough already from me. But Lucy, just thinking about the Good Company people and the extraordinary work that you have done and are doing, why do you think you felt music was really important to incorporate into what you do, and what have you seen happen? Just a couple of examples, because I know we could talk for hours on this.
Yeah, I think what is beautiful about using music is that we do a supper club, and there are lots of people in the room who really are struggling with their cognition and with finding words. But when you put Que Sera Sera on, every single word just falls into place, and it's medicinal. It's a really, really interesting how we do it in a pub. People come in and we have a few songs, and I suppose our songbook, Paul, has very much grown, hasn't it?
Very much so, yes.
We started with like just 10 songs, but everyone, because we have people in their early 60s all the way to their late 90s, nearly 100. So we're having to span decades. And we can go from 1 minute doing Beatles, and then we go to Doris Day, and then we go back to Consider Yourself. So it's just, and everyone knows the words. You might not know what you had for breakfast or what you last said, but you will always know the words to Consider Yourself and What a Wonderful World and I Did It My Way. So it gives you goosebumps, doesn't it, Paul?
It really does. The whole group just comes to life. They come in, it's like certainly the first one, but certainly a bit reticent about coming in, and they had a lot of issues and stuff. But as soon as they're in that safe space, if you like, and they could see everyone else was a very similar position to them to different degrees, start playing the piano, everybody to a T started singing, and it was just absolutely astonishing.
And that, sorry, Paul, I was just going to jump in, because I think you said something really important there, which is about the power of group experience, isn't it? So wherever you're at, you can offer something to the group, and somebody else from the group can take something of that. So whether you know a word or you know the whole song, there's something that can be given and taken from that group experience.
Definitely, yeah. And it just triggers some sort of, maybe it's a longer term memory, maybe it's something that's more buried deep within us from our years of listening to music, but it just comes straight to the fore. And by doing it, so I was going to say, by doing it in pubs and things as well, obviously, again, it's places that people are used to throughout their lives. You've got people in the community who are also popping in to go to the pub as for a normal meal or for a drink, and they can see what's going on. So it's kind of engaging with the community there, which is great. And even we have the staff of the pub is sometimes singing along and joining in as well. So it's just absolutely astonishing. Really is.
I was going to say, actually, I'm really pleased that you mentioned where it is that your sessions take place, because there's something very normalizing and leveling about that, and that it's so destigmatizing that it's an everyday situation, and there's this sort of feel good thing. It makes me I can't claim to be 100 years old, but it gives me that feeling of what community might have been like in my rose tinted glasses, is that idea of actually we're just going to get together, we're going to have a time together, and we're going to try and make each other feel good and feel wanted. And that's what I'm hearing actually as you talk about in that sort of social pub experience, that everyone's welcome, whether you've got dementia or not. There's something about coming together and being part of something. And I guess that hits on what the theme of today, which is how important groups are for our mental health and our well-being, that we need to know we're wanted, we need to know that we're cared for, we need to know we can be part of something. And that's so valuable when you might feel, whether you're living with dementia or you're a carer, that you're becoming more and more removed.
And I think one of my favorite compliments of Supper Club is it's also normal. Yeah. And actually that's what you want. You want everything to be normal, you know, and people can't tell who's got dementia and who hasn't, because, you know, the songs are a great leveler and everyone sings along or hums along. People get up and dance, and we just set the pub on, you know, not on fire, but you know what I mean. We set it alight, and it becomes a conversation starter. And I think what's nice as well is that people don't come because it's dementia welcoming, so everyone's invited. So there's lots of people who come who might have cognitive changes or might just, and so it's really easy to walk into the pub and have some fish and chips and have a sing song. And it doesn't necessarily define you in any way that you're living with dementia, but it's a way of being part of a very enabling, supportive community.
And I would add to that, and Paul, please jump in, but I think that's one of the things I've heard so many times over, is that I don't want to go to a group experience because I don't want to see what I might be like, or what dementia could be for me, or what I might be like as a carer, or I can't place myself there yet, or don't want to. And there's something really, really lovely. I keep coming back to this idea that we're leaving dementia at the door, we're having our fish and chips, we're having a sing along, might even have a pint, let's go wild. You know, and
Kalula, we have pint, lots of wine, just, you know, we've got wine tasting this weekend actually.
I might come and join you. There's something lovely about that, isn't there?
But it's almost you know, it's like the Billy Joel song in Piano Man. You know, they go there to forget about life for a while. They forget about all the stresses and strains that they're going under in what has become their life, and they can forget about that for a couple of hours and just socialize with people and sing and express themselves and just enjoy life. You know, so it's incredibly powerful.
And it's so good to hear that so positively and powerfully and heartfeltly reinforced by you both, because it's something that I've talked about before, this idea of topping up the emotional credits. Thinking particularly about carers, that this is a tough gig, and Lucy, you know this more than anybody. You know, it's not easy, but you need to see the joy, because it's the thing that helps the next morning. And I'm still amazed. I just have to tell people who might be tuning in that I had the most gorgeous message from Lucy earlier, and honestly, it's just made me smile all day about a beautiful little moment with music that she had, and it just reminds me of why it's so important to tell people about these things and encourage people. I think what's so inspiring about your story, the both of you, and the way that you work together, is that you've just made it a part of the everyday.
Yeah, and I think what is important, well, it's especially important for Mum and I, is that we have soundtracks. We've got our whole lives together has just been a soundtrack. And so you know, and you know, Mum might not be able to articulate, she has trouble finding words, and she can't say a sentence much. But what she can do is, as soon as a song comes on that resonates with her, she's literally in tears. And you know, when And the one of the things that I have learned is that my mum has Parkinson's disease, dementia. So what that means is it freezes, and it's almost her brain tells her, can't tell her to step into the shower or get out the door. And so all transitions I have a soundtrack for. So the video that I sent Grace earlier is a bit random, but we have House of Pain, Jump Around, and that's our track in the morning. And I don't know if anyone knows, but it's a really, really strong doo, 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 doo. And as soon as mum hears that in her head, it's literally hardwired to, she gets up, and then we start going like that together, and then we're just dancing like there is no tomorrow. And that's what we do. We dance every morning, and it's just so even if you are waking up and she doesn't know who I am or where she is or whether I'm her mum or her daughter, the music levels her, and that's how we start our day.
And honestly, I have to say, it was the most inspiring video. It really got me this morning. I really stopped and was like, wow, this is incredible. But it also made me think about the conversation I had with Lucy and Paul earlier about the thoughtfulness that goes into the way they think about their group and their songbook and the way that they use music. So I don't know if you both want to say something about that, because you've got this incredible age range of the people that enjoy the good company. And so it'd be lovely to hear a little bit about how, because in previous sessions we've talked about the importance of personalization, but also there is music out there that we all might have some sort of resonance or connection with. But I was really interested in how you both talked earlier about the songbook that you use, but also the thoughtful, careful consideration that goes into making sure that everybody feels accommodated and supported and connected with through the music.
Well, I think for the first supper club, we only had probably 10 songs, Lucy, to start with, and it was very much focused on the older style of music, the old musicals. But we very quickly realised that, as Lucy said earlier, you have a range from mid-60s through to almost 100 years old, and a lot of the people at the supper club were into music like Elvis and the Beatles and rock and roll and all that kind of thing. So we very quickly realised not only do we need to increase the repertoire, but we needed to cater for those additional tastes, which I think we did successfully. And every so often we'll revamp the song. We have about 35 songs in there now, and the people are able to sort of, we go around and say, which one would you like? And they choose which one to sing along to. We do that one. So it's a case, I think, of just trying to keep on top of it and trying to chop and change it a bit. And obviously, they like all the songs, so it's really hard actually pulling some of the songs out of the book, because that there's somebody there that's going to enjoy them. But it is trying to cater for that, and also trying to cater. We realised recently trying to cater for the vocal ranges as well, because obviously, some of these songs actually technically, from a vocalist point of view, are quite tricky. Have really big ranges or go really, really high. So we've had to sit down and say, actually, we probably can't do a couple of those songs because the range is too big. Or in some cases, we've just brought it down a few sort of semitones just to make it, we've got to make it easy for people to be able to pick up and sing along to. It doesn't have to be the original key or anything like that, because that's not what we're trying to achieve. But so we have had to kind of cater for those kind of things, I guess.
And we've not done Bohemian Rhapsody yet, have we, Paul?
Not yet. I see the not yet, Lucy.
Oh, it would be fun to do, though. It would be fun to do. There's a real Neil Diamond, as it plays quite, Hotel. They love Neil Diamond, don't they?
Sweet Caroline is picked every single time.
Oh. And also what we have to do as well is that sometimes we realise that the other week Paul actually couldn't make it, and we had to fake it. So I had to take my Spotify along, and we did name that tune, which apparently was far too easy. But we did name the tune, and then we sang along to all the songs using the songbook. And over the time, we've cut quite a few of the choruses out, because there's only so many choruses of Consider Yourself you can do before it's like, oh gosh. So what we discovered is actually we've made our own songs up and put the choruses in other things. So we've made it our own, all of these songs. I'm sure Elvis would be very happy.
But that's so lovely, the way that you describe that, because it's just so personal to the people that from the very thoughtfulness of like, what key are we singing in, which most people probably don't give a second hoot to, but the fact that you've got that sensitivity to, let's make this accessible at every possible level, to who needs 10 choruses, like, we just need 2.5 minutes, let's not go to the 4.5, let alone the 6.5. That's just where's the attention at? So there's something there really about attending to people and what's possible for them. And so I'd imagine that as much as these sessions are incredibly fun for you both, there's an awful lot of attention being given to everybody at every minute, watching out for communications, verbal and non-verbal, and singing and musical and otherwise, that you're both constantly attending to and thinking about and considering.
Well, we also have, part of the recipe of good company is that we have some incredible volunteers, and everyone in the room we've done discovery sessions on, so we know their backstory and we know their past, so we know everyone in the room. We know that the friendship groups that are forming, which they really truly are genuine friendships, and we used to put people together, and now they're like, no, I want to sit next to Carol, off I go. So it's really interesting watching, but also there's that real sense of community where new people come in, there is this absolute inclusivity where people open up their arms and so made to feel very, very welcome. And I think that what works really well is the volunteers. If, for example, a carer just wants to sit and chew the fat and just have that conversation with other carers, the volunteers can provide that respite to the people they support, which means that they actually get a break as well. So they actually find that they have, not only they've sung, but they've also managed to connect and have deeper meaningfuls over supper, and then have a sing song together. So I think all the ingredients work really well.
Just as I listen to you talk, Lucy, if I was sitting here as a therapist, if I was trying to draw a group dynamics diagram of everything you've just explained to me, we'd have the most colourful pattern on a page. And I think there's something so lovely about the way that you've just explained what it means to provide great facilitation, and how the music can really help support with that, but really getting to carers, what it means to them, that there is that opportunity to connect, to identify, to offload, to share, to feel encouraged or motivated, or just know that there's an ear there waiting for them. And whether that's with the disguise of music, music providing a bit of a curtain, if you like, but to have that conversation, it doesn't have to be overheard, or just to let their hair down and be part of something fun and sweet and meaningful. I just feel the spirit from you both talking about why this matters so much to people. What would you both say to that?
I think that is very, very true. And I think the cherry on top, one thing I've really noticed is that one of the hardest time for carers is their birthdays, because they wake up and the person they love most in the world is their birthday, and it's just the one day out of 365 days that you just want just some. So actually, by knowing every single person's birthday in the room, it's about, one of the carers said, oh, I can't come, I've had a terrible week, and but a volunteer went and picked them up and said, you're having a night off, we're picking you up, we're taking you and your carer, you're coming to supper club, we're spoiling you. And that just kept them going for a year, because they actually had a birthday. And I think that there's specific, so having that deep personalization is about, and forming good company. Like, that's what we're called the good company people.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
I'm just astonished by the whole thing. I mean, every time, and just seeing the joy on people's faces when they leave, because they've had a really good evening, or they've had if it's a lunch club, a good lunch club, and they've met people they've got to know quite well over the months, and they've had a good time. And it's like the highlight of their month, I think, a supper club, in a way, for a lot of them, because it's just gives them something to do. It's just incredible, just through the power of music.
The power of music and the power of people, I would add, because I think that what I'm hearing is that the music is the bit of the vehicle, but both you, Paul, and Lucy, with your facilitation and your attention to people and what matters to them and understanding, you know, we all as social creatures want to be seen, heard, and felt, but I think that's even more accentuated when you are living with a condition such as dementia, that really needs to come to the fore. And I just hear that at the forefront of what you're both saying about how music enables that so much more easily. You know, it's not a dry conversation, it's a conversation that you can cut into quickly because, you know, there's a shared moment with music, and that suddenly you can share that with other people without having to do lots of sort of background work. The music is that beautiful shortcut to connecting people into that group situation. And also from the description of your supper club, which I need to come to because it just sounds amazing, and we haven't even talked about food, is that
fish and chips.
You know, great, I'm there. It's just this idea that it's not intimidating, and so much about dementia is intimidating. And what I hear is I hear a massive musical hug with a massive hug of people, that you're very welcome, and we just accept you as you are. And I think I couldn't think of anything more welcoming for somebody who's caring for somebody with dementia, let alone somebody with dementia.
And also someone has experiencing cognitive changes and just wants to go somewhere and just be in a safe space. And that's the challenge. I think that, you know, it's still something that people are scared of and are masking, and therefore if you're coming to a fish and chip supper club, you know, where's the dementia in that? You're just going to go out to a pub, you're going to go and sing, you know, it's normal. And I think that's the key, really. It's just to make it a normal part of life. And you know, and in the sprinkle, the magic dust is the music that's the thread that runs through everything that we do.
I guess people relax a bit as well, don't they, when they hear music and you start singing?
Yeah.
And some of those songs like Sweet Caroline, you know, sometimes in some situations with group music, people are a bit reluctant to sing, or they kind of hold back a bit.
Touching
They
hands.
kind of mime and stuff, right? But you have Sweet Caroline playing, like,
and everyone's touching
everyone
me,
just forgets,
touching you,
and it's just, and so the whole worry about, oh, they're not going to like me singing, that's never there, is it? It just goes, because for whatever reason, maybe it's the choice of music, I don't know, but everyone just starts singing. Maybe it re-engages things, and they just suddenly, right, they can remember the songs, and
actually I just love watching the carers looking at maybe their husband who is singing and belting out, you know, a Rolling Stones track, and, you know, and just that look of absolute pride and love that, you know, that they're seeing that glimpse of that, you know, it's that window of
absolutely.
It's the you know, the antidote to everything else all day that is.
Exactly. And I don't want to cut you off, Lucy, because I'm so aware that we're heading to time, but I just wanted to add that it's seeing them for who they are, right? And that is the thing that we all want, and music is that magic sort of key to allow that to happen. I am so sad that we are almost at time, because I could talk to you both for ages about your experiences, and I think there's so much in what you said about the way that you do your supper club with music that is really inspirational for people. And I really hope that people get in touch with you, and we can certainly share the details of the Good Company people. So if people want to come to the supper club or be part of the Good Company people, they can, or if they want to learn more about what you're doing, we definitely want people to be in touch with you. But just before we run out of time, in our previous Music Monday sessions, we've been asking people to tell us about their musical choices in the comments, because what we'd love to do is add it to a playlist. And very quickly, have you both got a song you'd be happy to share and why it is important to you both?
Lucy?
Oh, mine has to be House of Pain, Jump Around, because I defy anyone not to dance to it.
I'm with you.
At a supper club, do we?
It's not been it's no, you name one. What's your top supper? What do you think the top supper club song is?
I think it is Sweet Caroline. I mean, we've talked about it enough times now, but I mean that is the one that gets everybody up and going, I think. And probably Que Sera Sera is probably the close second on that, which are very, very different songs, but they both go down extremely well.
And randomly that we think My Way, and we're always like, oh God, is this a bit depressing? But they love that I did it it's like really empowering. It's like, it's a bit of a winner, My Way.
Right, well, they're all going on the playlist, that's for sure. Honestly, I've just loved this conversation, and I'm genuinely sad that we have to stop. But I really need to thank you both for making time to chat to me about the amazing work that you both do. And I'm genuine. I need to come to a supper club, especially that you do fish and chips and singing. I'm there. As long as you've got good mushy peas, I'm really with you. But thank you. And I know that we can talk more, and maybe we should talk more, because I think there were so many things that you've both said that we could delve into more, from the personalization to the way that you think about each person, to the choices of music, to the environment and the setting that you do it. And I just think that the people who have contact with the Good Company people are so lucky to have you both. So thank you, and really thank you so much for sharing an insight into what you do. And hopefully you'll join us next week, where we are with Sue, the head of services for dementia care accounts, for our final session, which is called Making It Happen. And in that session, what we'll be looking at is how you can hear and understand a bit more about the skills and the tools that you've talked about throughout the series in your circumstances. And, you know, Lucy and Paul, please do chip into that, because I think lots of people have taken so much from this evening's conversation. And we'll be really encouraging people to ask us questions, which we'll sort of be doing a bit of a Q&A, really. But we'll be here again at 7 o'clock next Monday, and we'll leave a link for that. And I also have to mention before we head off that the Family Carers Survey, Dementia Carers Count 2023 Family Carers Survey, is now live. And we know time is super precious, but we'd be ever so grateful if you wouldn't mind sharing your experiences with us. It will just mean that we can do even more for you when we know what you need from us. So please do put a link, please do reply to the survey once we circulate the link. And again, massive thanks to Lucy and Paul. I could talk to you for ages about everything that you do. So it's been a real joy. So thank you to those who've joined us this evening, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks again. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Grace. Bye-bye.